Good morning, everyone. It is now 11:05 a.m. Calling the roll for the Monday, August 13th Board of Control meeting. We have Nan Baker, Dale Miller, Joe Nani serving as an alternate for Dan Brady.
Here.
Mike Dever, Armin Budish.
Here.
Lenora Lockett. Dennis Kennedy. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes from August 6th. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, no tabled items?
And no tabled items.
Okay.
First item, item number BC 2018-540, Department of Public Works, recommending awards on requisition 42095 and enter into contracts with various providers in the total amount not to exceed $300,000 for general right-of-way services, and it's for the period August 13th, 2018 through August 12th, 2021.
Thanks, Nicole English with Public Works. These were awarded by an RFQ process. 17 were pulled, 4 submitted, and we are picking 2. And these contracts are used for appraisals, negotiations when we have to purchase right-of-way associated mostly with road and bridge projects. And the reason we have 2 is often we have to do an appraisal and then an appraisal review, which is on the federal process, and they have to be under 2 separate contracts. So we maintain 2 contracts so that we can do those services.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
The next item, item BC 2018-541, I was just told right before the meeting that the department wants this item held.
Okay.
Next item, item number BC 2018-542, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment, subsidiary number 1, to a contract with Katz Construction, Inc. for resurfacing of Pleasant Valley Road from State Road to Broadview Road in the city of Parma for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $83,007.19.
Again, Nicole English with Public Works. This is an amendment for a construction project that's going on currently. The main portion of this is to accelerate the work in order to finish this season. So the contractor was able to provide us with a cost to work a little bit of overtime in order to finish and close the job up before the winter. Otherwise, it would have been barreled for the winter and finished next year. It's a federal job, so the acceleration piece isn't federally eligible. However, there's some additional pressure relief joints and law enforcement that is eligible. That's why that's a strange breakdown of funding. But the city had requested that we take the contractor up on this offer in order to get it done this year to help their residents traveling through. The county, this is the only money the county has on the job because we were able to get issue 1 to cover all of our local share and Parma's local share on the initial contract.
Thank you. Questions? Yes. Councilman Miller.
I presume that this is a small cost in relation to the total project. What's the total project cost?
The total project cost is now, if we approve this amendment, $3,012,039. So yeah, pretty small in comparison.
Okay.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-543, Department of Public Works, recommending a payment in the amount of $1,250 to the Norfolk Southern Corporation for a non-environmental right of entry application fee in connection with the repair work on Pier number 5 on the West 150th Street Bridge number 0194 over the Norfolk Southern Railroad in the city of Cleveland.
Nicole English again, Public Works. This is an application fee that Norfolk Southern is making us pay to them in order to process a right of entry application. So we own the bridge, the West 150th Street Bridge. There's some improvements that we need to make on the pier, so we have to do an inspection in order to put plans together. And this is just the fee for them to process the right of entry in order for us to get onto their property.
Yes, Councilman Miller.
Not a question, just my usual comment, which is that I know from personal experience how extraordinarily difficult the railroads are to work with, and I appreciate your putting up with this mess and getting this done on our behalf.
You? Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
The next item, item BC 2018-544, has been held at the request of the county executive. Next item, BC 2018-545, is a two-part item, Department of Information Technology. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 42452, which will result in an award recommendation to Northwoods Consulting Partners, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $71,000 to convert images from the on-base system to the statewide enterprise document management system. And it's for the period August 13th, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Bender with Health and Human Services IT. This contract is for the Department of Health and Human Services, who is looking to enter into an agreement with Northwoods for $71,000. The services that Northwoods will provide will convert county images and supporting data from two of our on-base systems to the new state system, which again is called the Enterprise Document Management System, or EDMS. Northwoods was selected as the vendor through an RFP process that the state held, and the state has pre-negotiated rates, and the county is leveraging those terms. Migration to the state's EDMS platform would save HHS approximately $250,000 in license fees going forward into 2019.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
This sounds good. Is the $250,000 in savings in licensing fees, is that one time, or would that be ongoing on an annual basis?
Right now, we own two of those systems that are converting, and if we kept them, it would be ongoing. So it would start in 2019, and therefore, going forward, we would no longer have those license costs.
Good. Sounds good.
Other questions? Seeing none. Let me just ask one question here. Is this all going to be general fund, or I thought we had initially talked about state and federal reimbursement?
This is coming out of an index code that's 54% state federal reimbursement and 46% HHS levy.
Okay, so it's not all general fund. Can we change that?
Yes, I just read it and put it on my notes.
Great, thank you. Okay, all those in, I move to amend, I move to adopt this. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-546, Department of Information Technology, recommending a sole source award on requisition 43226 to EP Technology, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $3,628, and it's for the purchase of various printer supplies for the Microplex HD60 and HD90 printers.
Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. As was read, this is a sole source award. The affidavit has been supplied. EP Technologies is a regional authorized dealer for these parts for two printers sitting down on Lakeside.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-547, Office of Innovation and Performance. It's a two-part item. A, submitting an RFP exemption on RQ 43239, which will result in a payment to Healthcare Information and Management Systems Society in the amount of $10,000 for sponsorship of the Battle for Our Babies, Seeking Tech Solutions to Reduce Infant Mortality Conference, being held on August 24th, 2018, and B, submitting the payment in connection with said RFP exemption.
Catherine Tkachuk for the Office of Innovation. So this is a conference on August 24th that will bring together a number of community leaders to talk about some of the problems facing us with infant mortality. It'll be centered around themes of managing and reducing stress for pregnant moms, improving the use of community health workers and resources for fathers and expectant fathers. And it will serve as a kickoff for a 6-week developers challenge. So the information collected at this summit will then go in to be provided to developers to try and come up with technology solutions to solve some of these problems and hopefully have an impact on the infant mortality rate in the area.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes.
Mr. Nani?
Just out of curiosity, Did you look into the ability to use HHS funds for this?
So I thought because of the fact that it was really focused around technology, it was an important use for the innovation funds in our budget.
I'd ask the same question.
Okay.
And you got the same answer. Councilman Miller.
Is this a one-time event or something that's held on an annual or?
It's a one-time event right now. This will be the first one. We want to see what comes out of it, and it's something, if it's a way that allows us to create really great technology solutions, we can attempt this type of partnership and event on other items, but right now this is a one-time event.
Further questions? Councilwoman Baker.
I guess could you repeat again, probably you've said this, the technology piece, how to reduce infant mortality, how does the tech piece work with this?
Right, so this is a kickoff for a developers challenge. So HIMSS will have a platform where they'll provide, we're going to be focusing on what are the key problems, starting with the human-centered, it's sort of a human-centered design piece. So you start with what are the problems and then provide that to various technology companies. They'll actually be competing to come up with technology solutions for prize money that's being funded by the Cleveland Foundation. So it starts with the problems and what we need, and then provides that to developers to try and come up with technology solutions to solve the issues.
And I guess just anticipating, what type of technology solutions would you anticipate, generally speaking, that they could come back with? I mean,
So it could be something like, it could be, a simple one would be more of an app, or there's also technology tools right now that are, just an example that's out there, there's a footy that you can place on babies that will set off an alarm if the blood ox level goes down or something like that, but right now those are $300. Okay. So it could be that somebody takes something like that they would find a useful technology and say, how can we make it maybe less expensive so it's more available, or other ways we can modify it to make it more available to folks that are in underserved communities and don't have access to that technology now.
Just one final, is there any dollars involved from us when after the kickoff? Are we a part of the developing the challenge?
Yes, so the $10,000 supports the summit and then the actual 6-week challenge as well. Oh. So that's the $10,000 is to support both the actual summit on that day and then the challenge.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nani.
Where is the summit taking place?
It's taking place over at the Global Center for Health Innovation.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-548, Office of the Medical Examiner, submitting an amendment to a contract with Charles A. Cantonese, MD, for forensic pathology services, and it's for the period July 3rd, 2017 through December 31st, 2018, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $6,500.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. So due to a series of decertifications of contracts that we have not been using, which you've seen over the last few months, we're using some of those funds to add to Dr. Cantonese's contract. He has been doing forensic pathology work for the office. We have not needed his services for a few months, but we want to make sure that by the end of the year that if we need to recall him, that there are sufficient funds on his contract. And based on the last couple of weeks, it looks like we may have to bring him back in sooner than later.
Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-549, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board, submitting an amendment to a contract with Oriana House, Inc. for day programming services in connection with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction Community Corrections Act Probation Improvement and Incentive Grant Program. And it's for the period July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2017, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $256,615.
Good morning, Marty Murphy for the Corrections Planning Board. We are submitting this amendment It represents our final payment and contract with Oriana House for this particular service. It's late because we anticipated that, well, it's late because the state process was to send the money out in two distinct pieces of funding. We could have had this into you probably 6 or 7 weeks early, but we elected to wait until we got our final bills June 30th and just come in once. No payments have been made yet on this particular service.
Questions? Councilwoman Baker.
So you could have come to us 2 or 3 weeks early of the 6/30/17 or the 6/30/18?
Oh, the 6/30/18.
Okay, so I guess the question is, why is this ending on the 2017 and it's not till today or even 2 or 3 weeks ago that you're asking for additional funds? 6/30/18 is already over.
Sure.
And there's a year there that we're looking at up back.
Thank you, Councilwoman. This is like many of the other Community Correction Act contracts that we've brought forward over the last few weeks where the state did not give us the funding until our final pieces of money were about 10 weeks ago. So we didn't have the funds to actually execute the contract until then. Unlike all the others that went that came forward, they all went until 19. It was a 2-year window, so they weren't being completed after the fact. Due to the outcomes we were getting with this particular vendor, we elected to terminate this contract and not go any further. So it's actually now coming in, closing out.
So just a follow-up, so this is not a service or a contract you're going to continue?
We will not continue this now. We actually replaced it when we saw the results of the service. We replaced it with, a week or two ago, this body voted on our employment project. We replaced it with that particular service.
And I think I heard you say, if I may, that from 6/30/17 to 6/30/18, there's been no one's received any funding.
That is correct. No dollars have been expended.
Just how can...
And just to clarify, my understanding is that this is state ODRC money, and they know and have approved you're paying this at this time and not earlier.
This is state DRC dollars. They are aware of where we're at and how we are transitioning into the other project, yes.
And they agreed just to wait an entire year before they would be compensated.
The vendor would like to be paid on a more timely basis. Going into this past year, or in July of 17, when the state budget came out, it came out right on June 30th. By the time DRC actually had funds and started doing RFPs and so forth, we were into August timeframe. They then released a whole series of different projects. This was one of the projects that were the last to be released. And every vendor that we had for every project, regardless, was aware that there were going to be issues this past year.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-550, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University for evaluation services for the Juvenile Delinquency Drug Court Program. And it's for the period January 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2018, to expand the scope of services effective July 10th, 2018, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $2,500.
Good morning, Karen Littman with Juvenile Court. This is just an additional training that we're asking Case Western Reserve University to do in conjunction with our delinquency drug court. This is training on some new federal drug court procedures and policies that we're providing for the staff in the drug court. And this is part of a federal grant that we have that we're actually closing out this fall. And this will allow us to use some of the funds that are still left on the grant.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-551, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, Office of Emergency Management, recommending an award on RQ 42783 to Federal Resources Supply Company in the amount not to exceed $11,900 to provide training services for 2 specialized EMS Tox Medic training courses in connection with the fiscal year 2016 Hazardous Material Emergency Preparedness Grant. And it's for the period August 13th, 2018 through September 30th, 2018.
Good morning, Jeff Harriman, Public Safety and Justice Services. This item is to provide 2 training courses to EMS personnel throughout the county. The training essentially gives the EMS personnel knowledge on how to require aid to individuals suffering from exposure to hazardous materials.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a 2-part item, item BC 2018-552, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services. A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 43238, which will result in an award recommendation to Association of Public Safety Communications Officials, International, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $1,690.60, and it's for the purchase of 10 law enforcement and 10 fire service communication edition student manuals. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Jeff Harriman, Public Safety and Justice Services. This item is to purchase manuals to provide training to CCOM's call takers. There was an original investment a few months back on getting 2 supervisors from CCOMs trained in these certain training aspects to be able to train the trainer classes for the CCOM call takers. So this is just to purchase those manuals to provide that training.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilwoman Baker.
These can't be purchased or used online? These are actual printed, or?
That is correct. They are printed manuals.
Is there a reason why we couldn't, or don't they offer, because of perhaps some changes that could happen throughout the time that they're being used?
The way I understand it, that the training, there's a portion which have online modules, but there are manuals that go along with that training that they use to go through these training curriculum.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-553, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an award on requisition 42913 to Centers for Families and Children in the amount not to exceed $2,115.30 for rental of space and catering services for the annual Child Support Employers Workshop. And it's for the period September 25th, 2018 through September 26th, 2018.
Good morning, Daniel Basta, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Office of Child Support Services. This is for an event that focuses on the employers of non-custodial parents, obligors. There was an informal bid that was done. There was 2 attempts. We received 2 bids. We went with the lowest cost and best venue.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-554, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an award on requisition 43235 and enter into a contract with Cuyahoga County Agriculture Society in the amount not to exceed $410, and it's for rental of a commercial booth and related services at the Cuyahoga County Fair located in the city of Berea, and it's for the period August 5th, 2018 through August 13th, 2018.
Daniel Basta, once again, Health and Human Services on behalf of the Office of Child Support Services. This is normally done as an office voucher. However, the county fairgrounds requires a contract for any time you're renting booth space or rental of tables. So that's why we had to present it today.
Thank you.
That was my question.
Any further questions? I hope you all get a chance to go out to the fair. I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-555, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43001 and enter into a contract with Emerald Development and Economic Network, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $479,536 for rapid rehousing assistance, location, and stabilization services for homeless individuals and families for the period January 1st, 2018 through October 31st, 2018. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Ruth Gillette, Office of Homeless Services, presenting a contract to provide additional funding from a unique funding source for rapid rehousing assistance in the community for homeless families.
Thank you. Other questions?
Could I
Mr. Kennedy?
ask that this be held? Follow up on it?
Is there urgency, or can we hold it a week?
Well, as you can see, it's late, so I don't think a week is going to matter at this point, if you'd like to.
It's started in January, so just think we need to, there's some
Does
questions.
anybody have a problem with holding it a week? Okay. It's held. Thank you. Next item.
Next item, BC 2018-556, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Early Childhood. It's a two-part item. A, submitting an RP exemption on requisition 41659, which will result in an award recommendation to Case Western Reserve University Center on Urban Poverty and Community Development in the amount not to exceed $230,000 for implementation and management of the Invest in Children program evaluation for the Universal Pre-Kindergarten 2.0 program, and is for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2019. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Good morning, Bob Stabe with the Office of Early Childhood, submitting a contract with Case Western Reserve's Center on Poverty and Community Development to conduct the evaluation of our UPK program. Case has been our partner in this endeavor since the inception of the UPK program back in 2007, so this is a renewal of their ongoing effort. During this evaluation period, we were specifically asking them to look at the special needs and family engagement aspects. We implemented some enhancements to those programs, so we're asking them to conduct an evaluation of them. They're also continuing to look at the public school data to see how well our children fare when they go on to kindergarten and beyond in comparison to children who don't participate in UPK.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller.
We've been doing these evaluations for a number of years now, and my question is, what have we learned from prior evaluations that we've been able to change and improve the effectiveness of these programs?
Well, Councilman, that's a broad question.
So it was intended to be so.
We've been making improvements and modifications to the program throughout its entire life cycle. I mean, last time around we enhanced our special needs components and our family engagement components based on previous evaluation research. The approach to special needs now is not a child-by-child focus, but it's a classroom focus, and we have a special tool that we go in and we measure the temperature of the whole classroom as a group, and then provide ongoing technical assistance up to 12 visits to the teacher for them to help manage that situation better. So that's one example. There are many. I mean, I could follow up with you.
Yes, I would.
All right.
I would like a follow-up on that. We spend a lot of money on the evaluation, and I want to make sure that it's providing value in terms of continuous improvement.
Will do.
I also would suspect that these evaluations, which we used the results, for example, when we went out and built our fund, solicited the community for support, we had to prove to the community that these were worthwhile programs. And as we move forward to try to make this sustainable, either through asking the state government to be more supportive or others in the community, again, continuing to have up-to-date data is very helpful, especially when it's as strong a program as it's been. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item, BC 2018-557, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Early Childhood, submitting an agreement with Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio in the amount not to exceed $105,080.22 for administrative services rendered for the Bright Beginnings program, and it's for the period August 1st, 2018 through October 31st, 2018.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with the Office of Early Childhood Invest in Children. This is a contract again with the ESC. This specific contract is to pay for an outstanding invoice. In September, October of 2016, one contract was ending and another one was beginning. The final invoice for the previous contract was inadvertently applied to the newer contract. So as a result, the newer contract was short when the final bills came due. So this is to pay that amount. So we tried several different options to pay that amount, including a purchase order. We looked at recertifying the funds, but that contract was closed and decertified long ago. We looked at a contract amendment. We worked with the fiscal officer. We worked with OPD. We worked with the law department, and finally got approval from the director of HHS to proceed with this fashion.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilman Miller.
The way this item is worded, it looks like the whole $105,000 goes to pay for administrative costs. In response to my question, I got a response saying that only 3.5% goes to administrative costs and the rest goes to program-related services. And so I would suggest amending this item. I've seen this before, and I think it creates an unnecessary confusion, and I would suggest amending this to read, for administrative and program services rendered.
Is that accurate, and are you agreeable to that?
Yes, that's accurate. I mean, the way the ESC operates is that they, as part of their mission, offer fiscal services to programs, and so that's the administrative part of it. But the program itself, the majority of the funds goes to program services, so it is accurate.
Okay. Yes.
Lenore Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity. I just want to make sure that the dates on here are from August 1st to October 31st.
Yes.
So what are those? Are those the dates where the services, they're not the dates the services were provided?
No.
So what are the dates representing and how
This is just for this contract, so we have time to properly complete it, to execute the contract, and to pay the invoice. This was done by the legal department.
But it's for services that were rendered in what year and what time period? I guess I just want to make sure that the record, we're not paying for something that happened between August and now. The contract is open during this time period.
Right.
but the services
Services
were.
occurred, it would have been at the end of October 2016, but this invoice was, the invoice that we're paying on would be for the contract that ended December 2017. So one contract was short at the end of September of 2016, that invoice was not applied and was applied to the newer one that ended 2017. So it's a little confusing as to which one it would actually be applied against.
We agreed on the language for the contract to pay for the invoice, which the invoice said October to December of 2017. So that's actually what the contract language says.
Okay.
So if that's incorrect, we'll have to change that. But if that's appropriate, it says this contract is from August to October to, like you said, to execute the contract, receive the invoice, pay the invoice, and just give enough time for that. But the actual contract language says for services rendered,
Okay.
and I believe it's October 1st through December 31st. I'd have to check the
I'd
contract.
have to check as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but I think it's October 1st through December 31st.
So, again, Lenore Lockett, would we be putting that for administrative services rendered in 2016 for the Bright Beginnings program, and that this current contract is August 1st? I just wanted to be clear, they did not earn the services this year. They
Correct.
earned them
In the previous,
in the previous year,
Yes.
and that's what we're paying for with the current contract.
correct. We just have to clarify the dates.
So you're going to revise the dates because the contract reflects 8/1/2018 through October 31st, 2018 in the contract.
No, that is the dates of the current contract, but in the contract it says, this contract is 8/1 to 10/31, but the point of the contract is to have the contract to pay for services that were rendered that went over the amount because of the invoice issue.
Okay.
Okay. And we sort of skipped over, but I would accept Councilman Miller's amendment to add the language administrative and program services. Any other questions? Councilwoman Baker.
Just talking about the plan itself, again, is there any duplication with this and the UPK that had been invested in earlier?
This is the Bright Beginnings program, so this is a completely different program. This is a home visiting program.
Home visiting?
Yes, where trained parent partners go into the home and provide twice a month lessons with the families.
Okay, I didn't see the home visiting as part of the explanation, but thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve the item as amended. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you. We're on to the consent agenda, 558 through 563. Are there any questions? Okay. Councilwoman Baker.
All of these are all targeted expenses under BC 2018-563, except for, again, the CT 18-43175, just various buildings for supplies. Is this anticipated costs different than everything else on here, as we've heard before?
Mike Chambers of Public Works. These are the last. We probably have a couple more to have to come before us. We did a resolution here maybe about a month ago now.
These are on the list?
Those are on the list.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve the items on the consent agenda 558 through 563. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Consent agenda items are approved. Other business.
Yes, we have several items for other business. The first item is an additional item, not a mission-critical item. Item BC 2018-564, Department of Public Works, submitting a second amendment to an agreement of sublease with Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction and consented to by Ohio Public Facilities Commission pertaining to the financing of a portion of the cost of the Cuyahoga County Community-Based Correctional Facility project by adding additional funds in the amount of $116,730. This is grant funding, so we are receiving and accepting a grant in the amount of $116,730, and this will change the aggregate amount of the project cost to be paid for or reimbursed from the Adult Correctional Building Fund from $10,842,265 to $10,958,995,000.
Mike Chambers of Public Works. I'm here to present and accept this grant money to do some work for doors and security system at the CBDF. I also have Al Sanchez here, who will be happy to elaborate a little bit more about what the funds are go for. But this is grant money that's well needed for repairs.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Excuse me, you have to read into the record. You're amending the...
I'm sorry. Yes, I did. I skipped that. I also move to amend today's agenda to consider this item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The agenda is amended, and I don't think I have to re-vote on the other, but thank you.
Is there anyone here from the Sheriff's Department? Okay.
We'll hold that item.
Next, we have three mission-critical items. The first two are from the Department of Public Works. The first one, recommending an award on requisition 43065 in the amount not to exceed $24,743 to Epic Energy Solutions for the inspection and repair of the electrical switchgear located at the Justice Center complex. And the funding source is Capital Funds Project.
Mike Chambers of Public Works. We routinely inspect our generators, and at the Justice Center, the generators are working okay, but the switchgear that connects the generator to the building had failed. And so therefore we had to get it inspected and get the switchgear repaired, and therefore this $24,743 was needed. We authorized it and had it done. There's additional work that's going to have to get done as part of the project. I think the total project is, apologize, I had it here. It's like $116,000, but this is the first step in that.
Thank you. I move to amend today's agenda to consider the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is amended. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
Is this $400,000 plus item something that we did not expect, and so it's an additional expense that draws on reserves, or did we have this budgeted?
No, this was something we did not expect. I have the number here. It's $156,000. As you know, we test the generators, and obviously that was functioning, but there was the switchgear that connects the generator to the building. We realized the wires were frayed. So we did have monies in our reserves to cover this, so it's part of the general fund budget that we have allocated, but we now are using it for this line item.
And what's the funding source?
It's going to be general fund, but it's our capital projects portion of the general fund.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Item passes. Thank you.
Next mission critical item, recommending an award on requisition 43406 in the amount not to exceed $2,814.87 to Cleveland Key for replacement lock hardware for the RTA Harvard Garage.
Mike Chambers, again, Public Works. The amount is $2,814.87. The vendor was Cleveland Key. When we took over in, I want to say, July, we realized that, the building has been vacant for quite some time. We had to rekey and get, access to a lot of the areas. So we authorized this expense. We had a contractor coming on board to start the repairs, the renovation, and therefore we authorized this expense. This is going to be paid for out of sanitary sewer district funds and road and bridge.
Thank you. Questions? Oh, yes. First, I move to amend today's agenda to consider this item. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The agenda is amended. Now, Councilman Miller.
This seems like something we knew that had to be done. Why does it have to come as a mission critical?
We've been in the building for a while. As you know, we occupied an area for storage, but we weren't in the other areas of the building. There was fire access doors. There was a lot of doors there that, we had to get access to. So once the decision was finally made to obviously move forward, I think we didn't realize that we didn't have the keys or that they didn't have the keys, and we had to get it rekeyed so we can get access to the, those areas.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dever, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business?
One last mission critical item. This is for the medical examiner's office, recommending an award on RQ 43253 to Perkin Elmer in the amount not to exceed $5,047 for repair of one FTJR spectrometer. In the funding source is the general fund.
Do I have anything in writing on this? No. Okay. I move to amend today's agenda to consider the item. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. So the FTIR spectrometer, which stands for Fourier Transform Infrared Spectrometer, yes, and it's the same Fourier, Jean-Baptiste Joseph Fourier, the famous French mathematician. I came better prepared for this repair than I did the last time. The optic processor motherboard burned out, and that is what drives this machine's ability to bounce infrared rays off of certain materials so that it can analyze and identify those materials.
Thank you. Questions? Councilwoman Baker.
Not really understanding what it is that you have here. How long has this been down, and how have you been operating without it?
We had it repaired.
You had it repaired?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any other questions? Councilman Miller.
I move that we authorize fixing the motherboard.
I will accept that. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nani. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motherboard is fixed.
I had the Fourier transform algorithms already. All right. Thank you.
Any other business?
No other business at this time.
Any public comment?
And no public comment.
I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.